The last weekend I went out and I met new people who didn't know who I was. I didn't know them, and naturally we started talking about each other and asking questions like, what do you do in life? And I said, I'm a happiness coach. A lot of people, when they hear this question, the first real question that they ask me is, what is happiness? Why should I care about this? And at the beginning, I was very surprised by this, and then I started explaining to people things that, you know what, well, most people, when they think what they want from life is things like, good relationships, materialistic things like car, money, power, house, etc., good career. But in reality, why they want those things, the ultimate need for why they pursue those things is because those things will give them positive emotions. So we can say they make them happier. And also, they're also trying to avoid certain bad scenarios, certain negativity that they have in life. And by avoiding the negativity, it's a double negative. So we multiply a negative number by another negative number, we get a positive number. So by trying to avoid the negatives, they're trying to be positive, right? And so they're also trying to be happier. Now, this is very consistent with what Aristotle said when he said that everything we do in life, we do it for the sake of this thing called happiness. And the happiness is the only one thing which we search for its own sake. Now let me explain it to you again. If you get a car, maybe you get some comfort from this new car, maybe you get some status, but it gives you an improvement of life. It gives you improvement of the life towards, sort of positive aspect of your well-being, and well-being we also connect to happiness. So generally speaking, this is a good example of how we pursue happiness in our life. Sometimes not realizing that we actually want happiness. And so there are people, the whole society is built around this concepts of, oh, I want more, I want faster, I want better. And, I want it now as well. And the people don't really realize how they sometimes shoot themselves in the foot, because a lot of those pursuits actually are contradictory to happiness, or sometimes they don't lead you to the fastest way of becoming the happiest person you can be. And actually, if you look at the statistics, well, the first statistic is that we are living in the most advanced, most richest society that ever existed on the planet Earth today. So if ever we had the tools and the means to become the happiest we could be, it's right now. But despite that, as the second statistic is, we're having the highest levels of depression, the highest levels of anxiety, antisocial behavior, and a host of other problems. And then there is a contradiction. So we are trying to improve everything, we're trying to be better, but somehow it's not working. And so, there are maybe many explanations to how and what we need to do, but a lot of this incorrect behavior, in my opinion, stems from people not really understanding what they need to become the happiest they can be, because the happiness is the underlying motive, underlying emotion, underlying need that we have in our lives. So if you change your life, if you say, okay, I agree with Aristotle, I agree with what you're saying, then you will change your approach to what you value in life, to what you give priority in your life. So one of the happiest people alive, what they do, they live their lives completely different to how the majority live their lives. Essentially, they just pursue different things, and by doing that, they just become happy, right? So one thing that I've done when I started doing this work is I actually looked at those happiest people alive, and I said, why are you different? What makes you so different from everybody else? And I broke down this formula, and personally how I started this, maybe like we should take a few steps back, that at the age of 26 had one of the biggest depressions ever in my life. But also I had that specific point was also when I had the most success in my life, financial success. So I had the best job with the highest paying salary. I bought a house, I had a car, and generally speaking, I was able to afford every sort of toys, gadgets, things that people want to have, which they say I want to have in order to live the best life I can be, which should be, generally speaking, associated with the happiest life. But then I had the biggest depression, and it was confusing me. And I was like, what's happening? Why I supposed to have it all right now? Why I'm not as happy as I should be? And then I said, okay, there is a problem here. I need to step back and trying to understand what's happening. So at this point of life, I kind of like, okay, I gave up my materialistic pursuit, like this high-paid job. I moved into a small apartment. I sold my car, etc. And then I dedicated myself to understand what I needed to do to become happy. So at that point, I grabbed one of those happiness books. There are thousands of them on the shelves today, and I read through it, and I said, okay, so they have like 10, 20 topics of what I should be doing, yoga, I don't know, walks in a park, etc. And I applied those things to my life, and you know what? It made me a little bit better, but overall, I was not there, because life is very complex. There's many things into it, so a lot of new situations when they come up, sometimes they're not covered by the advice in this one or other book. So I said, all right, maybe this is not a universal book. Maybe it just gives you like a random advice. So I grabbed the second book and I read it, and it gave me another 10 and 20 tips, and the same story repeated itself. I was still not as happy as I wanted to be, so I said, okay, listen, I'm gonna solve it, and I'm gonna take whatever it takes to reach the result. And so one by one, I started buying all these different books, and honestly, none of them had the ultimate advice, which I was looking for. And I just didn't want to feel bad at that point, and I said, unless I fix it, I will dedicate as much time and energy as I needed to become as happy as I can be, and I'm not gonna be satisfied with the second best. Okay, I think there must be a solution somewhere there. Maybe these people don't know it, but somebody must know it. And in the end, I actually realized that actually nobody had the formula, not as I wanted it to be. So what I did is I said, all right, let's grab all those different books and then put them together and try to understand where the advice overlaps. So if we see the overlap of advice, maybe certain things are important, certain things are not important. And generally speaking, that was actually my conclusion, that almost everything we do in life, every little action that we do in life, we do for the sake of this called happiness. So for example, I brush my teeth in the morning, that's to have a nice smile. People would respect me more if they think I'm pretty, I'm what an interesting person, whatever it is. So brushing teeth is important, but so is like watching TV, procrastinating. But also procrastinating is kind of like people say procrastination is bad for you. Also, like if I eat junk food, maybe I feel good because it tastes good, but makes me fat. So there was also a few contradictions here and there that I had to solve. And this whole experience took me through a journey, a 8-year journey, where I was just exploring and trying to put all these pieces together. And in the end, I was actually very happy to say that I came up with a formula, with a unique formula. I never seen it anywhere. Since then, I never seen anywhere else. It consists of 6 pillars, and it's still, generally speaking, a very complex formula, but it's not infinite formula. There is an end goal in that formula. So I always use this expression, happiness is hard but not difficult. Why is it hard? Because, well, if it was easy, then everybody would be happy at this point, and just go out and see how many people are actually happy. With statistics every year reporting more and more people being unhappy, depressed, anxious, so antisocial, etc. While we also living in one of the most advanced and richest societies that the world has ever seen. So that's why it's hard. It has too many things to figure out, and most people, we are not intelligent enough to figure it out by ourselves. We need like a crutch. We need a help. We always trust society, governments to help us out, or the enterprises, or influencers to tell us what we want. And a lot of things that happen is a lot of people follow their self-interest, whatever, and essentially we end up with a host of advice, with a host of people of telling us happiness is this or happiness is that, and we try to follow all those different formulas. So everything we do is for the sake of happiness. So everything of advice is for the sake of happiness. But again, it just doesn't give us what it want. This is why the happiness is so difficult. But it's not hard. It's not hard. There is a finite number of things that we need to focus mostly on which will give us most results. And that's what my conclusion as well. Okay, you can do million billion different things, and you always will be somehow improving your life. And actually sometimes again you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot because you think that you're improving, procrastinating, or eating junk food, while in reality, this positive emotion actually will contribute to a negative long-term experience, which is happiness. So, but if you really focus on the core of the issue, so you discard all the small things, improvements of 1% or less, and you focus on things that give you like 20%, 30%, 40% improvement of your well-being, then you realize that there is, generally speaking, those six elements by which I look at people's lives and I break their lives into different points, and I can say, okay, your life, you're doing this right, you're doing this wrong. And most people, they're not doing one thing wrong. They're doing multiple things wrong. Or when I say doing things wrong, they're actually not doing things right either, right? So that's the problem that we're facing today. All these people having this problem, which unrealistically and very sadly actually are not necessarily, in my opinion, because there are solutions to fixing those problems. And again, you can go out, you can go and hire other people, read other books, and just get another coach who can tell you, hey, this is how you're going to get wealthier or more popular with in your social circles, etc. And they will correlate with happiness as much as any other coach, piano coach, public speaking coach. I'm not using specifically coaches, but it could be any product or service that you find in the market, or just like your friends, family, etc. But nobody has a full formula, and that's why people keep shooting themselves in a foot, because generally speaking, it feels like we're doing the right thing. It feels like we are progressing, but in reality, we are just in a rat race. We keep trying to do something, change in our lives, and it's infinite. We spend infinite amount of time, energy, money pursuing this thing called happiness, and we're still unhappy in the end of the day. So, and then most people, how their brain works is they say, okay, well, I tried this and it didn't work, or a little bit worked, or whatever. No, I'll try the next thing. So they have this list of things that they want to have, right? Again, things that they want to buy, experiences they want to have, and it's an infinite list. So most people say, no, I just need this thing. The next thing what I want to have is the thing that will make my life just way better. So give me this one thing, and I'll be the happiest, right? And then you give them that thing, and what happens? They're not happy. No, okay, that was not it. The next thing can be it, and the next thing. So in this way, if you look back on your life, say 5 or 10 years ago, you had completely different goals, and you would have other different things that you already achieved. And back in the day, you were just saying to yourself, hey, if I had this, I'll be happy. And if I have this, I'll be happy. Or play it out in the other way around. You say, move 5 or 10 years into the future, and you will very likely to have all of the things that you want to have right now, but you will still be in the same position as you are right now. You'll be still saying to yourself, no, I know now I know. I need the next thing. But it's a rat race. That's my point. It's a rat race. We're always chasing happiness infinitely. And again, how much money, time, and energy are we spending to trying to become happier? Infinite, right? So when I say to people, I have a solution, it's gonna take you some time to implement. There's few elements that we have to go through, and I said six things, 6 pillars of happiness. But in reality, every pillar is very complex. So let's talk, for example, financial freedom, right? That's one of the things people, generally speaking, mention when they talk about money. But you don't need to have all the money in the world in the first place to be happy. Some of the happiest people alive are people actually who have very few possessions. And so what we see is that, yes, there are a lot of wealthy people, have a lot of money in the world, but they're still unhappy. And they can actually still improve drastically in this pillar called money, materialism, pursuit, wealth, power, whatever. It's just it's one huge pillar, right? That they can still improve in that pillar, because what they want to do is they look for money for the money's sake, right? But what I offer is an understanding of all of these different components of happiness for the sakes of happiness. So sometimes people like say, "Oh, you're Roman, you know what? What about this?" And I say, well, it's 1%. It gives you 1% improvement, maybe 0.1. It's not worth your investment. It's not worth your time. So it's better that you invest your time to becoming the happiest self you can be, to focus on 20-30% improvements. And if you apply this formula to your life, not only you will stop having the problems that you are having today, you will resolve pretty much all of your unhappiness. You are guaranteed to become one of the elites. You will become one of the happiest people alive. And this is a guarantee. You grab the formula, and I don't care who you are, I don't care where you're from or what your life circumstance, you grab the formula, you apply it to your life, and you will be happy. Not only are you going to be happy, you will become one of the happiest people alive. And it's like that. You can't avoid it. It's like people say, well, we're living in this society right now, and it's so very advanced. But it's actually, in many ways, it's an illusion, because we are trying to cover our psychological and biological, physiological imperatives towards our happiness with some artificial levels of improvements, and we are saying, hey, actually, this is what I need. So our solutions are artificial, but the formula for happiness, as it is pre-programmed in our psychology, into our biology, is established, which is why it's a little bit different from what society can offer. Which is why society doesn't offer us the solution for happiness. If you follow optimal happiness, our formula, you are guaranteed to be happy. And you are guaranteed to live your life as you actually want to live it, to be the happiest you want it to be. And maybe you're not to become one of the happiest people alive, but you will reach your happiest potential. So that's my promise. So again, if you're interested, inquire about our training, inquire about working with me one-on-one, and I hope to talk to you soon. All right, thank you. Bye.